Hey friends, it's Michael Golzmane here, and I'm creating this video to talk about relationship clearing, especially clearing relationship karma, whether you may be feeling blocked to attracting a relationship that you're looking for now, or you feel like you're holding on to a relationship from the past that you're looking to resolve and to be able to let go of more. Or perhaps you're in relationship with someone right now, romantically or in some other form, and that relationship is feeling really challenging to you, and you're wondering what options you have in terms of being able to resolve and to release and to clear so you can have a clearer, more aligned expression, experience of that relationship. So I want to back up a second and really say that this video is the discussion I really want to have with everybody who contacts me around relationship clearing. Eventually, everyone gets to wanting to resolve something around relationship. And if you're finding this video, or perhaps you worked with me in the past or are looking to work with me in the future, I think you're in a really good place. And I wanted to share with you a bit about my experience with this kind of work and where blocks in relationship can be coming from and what we can do about it. So, you know, we tend to look at life oftentimes as if our conscious moment energy, our thoughts or our actions in the present moment are the only rules or laws in our lives. The only things that we're experiencing now, we tend to think sometimes, are the result of what we're doing, what we're processing, what we're experiencing even in this moment. Most people in life believe that they're simply the victim of things happening to them or the victim of things that have happened in the past. As we move on to a spiritual path more, we begin to realize that we have some authority, we have some control, we have the ability to change things. However, that ability doesn't necessarily mean that what we want in the present moment is easy to attain. We have to look at the fact that we have a large soul history that we are also working with. Each one of us has a soul history that goes back many, many thousands, and I would say even hundreds of thousands of past lives. It's almost inconceivable how long this has been and how many experiences we have had in that time. We will not generally recall very consciously most of these experiences. It just has to do with how the incarnational process works. We're here in this particular body, in this particular lifetime, in order to some degree, consciously forget that we have had these past experiences, and yet to have the ramifications, the results of those experiences, the unresolved issues of those experiences encoded within our subconscious so that we will naturally be guided in this lifetime into relationships in various types of circumstances where those unresolved issues will come forward. They'll be triggered. They'll be brought to the surface so that we can begin to experience them. We can begin to look at them. We can begin to say, how will I choose to operate as this symptom, this past situation and unresolved energy comes forward to be expressed, to be experienced here? How will I begin to exercise my power to heal, to shift, to choose something differently now? And whether we're aware of it or not, this is what all human beings are involved with. We're all involved with experiencing this life around us and hopefully beginning to see things from a higher perspective, that we are not being punished for anything, we are not being condemned somehow for past sins, we're not being given punishments by some God, some punitive deity in the sky. We are simply experiencing the results of our own consciousness. And in experiencing those results, we are being given many, many opportunities to begin to view our lives more symbolically, to begin to release, to begin to heal. Now, what does this have to do with relationship? Well, let's get a little more specific on this. The people that we have had relationship with in life, whether it was relatively insignificant or whether it's more significant, we all have past lives with them. It's been said before that there are no first-time meetings in this lifetime. And I really have found in my spiritual research that to be true. The more significant the person in your life, whether that seems positive or seems negative, someone that maybe you've been married to or were married to in the past, your parents, someone who has very significantly hurt you. So these could be seen as positive or negative types of relationships. Either way, they're people that we have very significant amounts of past lives with, often hundreds or more. And in those lifetimes, we have often had a lot of stuff go down and a lot of stuff happen. Again, all as part of our learning and growth and development process. This is why we're here in incarnation. It's certainly why we're here in relationship with each other, so that we can learn and we can grow. And that memory of all of the sometimes pain, anger, trauma, resentment, difficulties in those relationships are often still with us. Now, they're with us to the extent to which we have or have not actually resolved within ourselves that past energy. And we can always tell to what extent we've resolved past energy in any given context, for instance, in relationship, if we can right now look at that particular person, even mentally, just simply visualizing them and noticing what we think or feel about them. If we can think or feel nothing but unconditional love, nothing but wishing them absolutely the best and the highest and best, not pretending that we're thinking that, but actually wishing them the highest and best good in their lives, hoping that everything is beautiful and powerful and works out beautifully and in a healthy way, wishing them only love. If we can be at that point with any particular person, we know that our relationship work is largely done with that person. We can just continue to be in that state of love and unconditional regard. Now, for most of us, we're not in that state with very many people, if anyone at all, especially the people in our lives who may have been our family of origin, may have been ex-relationships, maybe even current spouses, partners, other types of relationships. We may not be yet in that place of what I call unconditional forgiveness. And the reason for that is because there's all of this, at least in part, there's a lot of subconscious material that has yet to be resolved. So relationships are some of the most wonderful things we can possibly ever do, some of the most wonderful opportunities for learning and growth and for experiencing life in a relationship context, and yet they can also be some of the most painful experiences of our lives. If we can begin to look at relationships as representative of where we're at on our spiritual path, something being presented to us that seems like betrayal, anger, seems like it's hostility from somebody else or that we're projecting onto another person. These energies coming forward are representative, they're emblematic of what is within us, of what has yet to be resolved, and may have largely not been established in this lifetime. It may be a tremendous amount of past life energy that is unresolved in the subconscious, that is coming forward and being triggered by the relationship. Oftentimes we can know this to be true because when we're in a relationship with someone, we can feel like things are going along pretty well for a time, and then some of our defenses drop down, and all the stuff that we've been maybe unaware of, that's in the subconscious, begins coming forward, and we wonder, who am I and who is this other person in this situation? There's something here that seems like it's more than just about the present moment. It seems like it's more than just about, they didn't put the dishes away in the right time, or whatever we think the problem is with our boyfriend, girlfriend, significant other, or past relationship. That's a symbolic of something deeper going on within us. So in one way, we have hundreds, if not more, past lives with the individuals that have been very significant with us in our lifetimes. But also, relationships represent larger themes in our lives as well. They represent our ability to simply be in integrity and authenticity with the truth of our own spiritual being. They represent all of the different related themes in our life. The ability for us to experience and to accept unconditional love, for us to practice kindness, for us to be in a state of self-mastery, and to share that, to help another person in our life enter into that context where we are experiencing and expressing our own self-mastery as the relationship. Remember that relationships represent our own vibrations. They're not, we often want to think about them as, why is this other person treating me in this way? Or why is this other person the problem? Eventually on the spiritual path, we realize that whatever the circumstance, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a challenge around career, a challenge around soul's purpose, a challenge around health, that nothing is really ever happening to us, that everything is really an expression of something going on within our own consciousness. Now, that may not be something that we're simply thinking in the present moment. As I've mentioned, most of our consciousness at any given time is really subconscious. It's the subconscious energy accumulated over thousands of lifetimes that is coming forward and being experienced as challenges, problems, difficulties, lack, limitation, anger, betrayal in this present moment. Psychologists tell us that 90 to 95% of our thoughts in any given moment are really the same as they were yesterday and the day before and the day before that. This is the process of simply our subconscious mind basically calling the shots, being really the below the surface simmering vibration of what we're experiencing on a day-by-day basis. So when we learn how to work with the subconscious mind, and when we learn how to clear and resolve the energies that are stuck there, we can begin to have a different experience of life. And relationship gives us a wonderful context to do this in. So if you're interested in attracting a new relationship into your life, there are a few strategies that I will suggest to you and that I work with my own clients in this subconscious clearing work. One is that you really have to look at resolving the relationships in your present and in your past. You cannot really attract a more positive experience of relationship if you're holding tons of anger and resentment around your current or past relationships. This is taught continuously in psychology as well. This is the process of forgiveness. And forgiveness as a relationship clearing strategy, both our present moment choice and by working with the subconscious to help clear and resolve past energies, is extremely powerful. I want to explain simply what I mean by forgiveness. Forgiveness can seem bothersome to many of us, especially if we've been through traumatic situations or when we're in a really challenging situation right now. What I mean by forgiveness is simply not pretending that there was not a past, not pretending that there was not hurt and pain there, or that you're not in hurt or pain now. Forgiveness simply means beginning to cultivate within yourself a higher perspective, a more spiritual context and perspective to what has happened and what is happening in your life now. And to acknowledge it fully, to begin to feel and express and experience any of the emotions, any of the stuck energies, the pain that you maybe have denied yourself from experiencing in the past. But it's beginning to make more and more the unequivocal choice on a moment-by-moment basis of, yes, there was a past, but I have to find my way through letting go and releasing the pain of the past so that I can have a wonderful experience of the present, and so that I can begin to open myself to a more powerful experience in the future. We simply cannot bury the past, we can't deny the past, we can't pretend that it didn't happen, and then expect that our present moment or future is going to be any different. We have to resolve the issues, the challenges, the problems that are coming up within us in order because the only thing that's really happening in our life, I'll say it again here, is our own consciousness. The fact is that on a physical level, yes, you may have been hurt, you may have been betrayed, you may have had a lot of stuff shoved in your direction by other people in past relationships. At a spiritual level, though, at a higher level way of looking at it, there is nothing that has ever happened to you outside of your own consciousness. Now, I'm not trying to tell you to deny or pretend that the past didn't happen. Please don't hear me on that. I'm not trying to say that. I'm saying that there's two different ways of looking at relationship and past relationships and contexts. One is, yes, there are some things here that we need to deal with in the present moment. Some things we need to, there was hurt, there was pain, there were issues that we want to change. And at the same time, remember that your consciousness, what is within you, is, spiritually speaking, the only thing that is really happening in your life. You may not understand all of that consciously, but your own consciousness is the law in your own life. And the more that you can accept that, and the more you can accept your own power to be able to change what is within you, Perhaps doing clearing work like I'm suggesting here, where you work with the power of your own subconscious mind to release the stuck and blocked energies of the past so that you can be more freed up. You can release and resolve and forgive the past relationship challenges so that you can be more available to love, more available to joy, more available to unconditional acceptance of yourself. And you can begin to discover that in the context of new relationships now. So how does this look more practically? Well, many people come to me because they're, for instance, having a challenge with a current relationship, and they don't know. They maybe have tried therapy and counseling and not really sure exactly what else to do in that relationship. So a suggestion I have around that is to try to do some clearing work of the kind that I'm suggesting here, where we go in working with your own higher intelligence and we delve into your subconscious mind, which is the same thing as saying your karma, your Akashic records. It's the total amount of accumulated unresolved energy that is affecting you from below the surface, from the subconscious. And in a relationship, there are obviously two people involved. Both people, if it was, for instance, a marriage relationship or boyfriend, girlfriend kind of thing, or a context like that romantic relationship, ideally speaking, both people would be open to clearing work. And we'd be able to work in that relationship with helping to resolve the unresolved energies in the past lives between the two of you. And also the energies that the two of you are bringing in from other contexts, from other relationships. Because those contexts, other people, maybe hundreds or thousands of other relationships you've each had in past lives, you are also bringing in and projecting into your current context. So this may seem extremely complicated to try to figure out, and that's why we work with the power of your higher intelligence, because if we were trying to figure all of this out consciously and mentally, it would take us forever. It would be very difficult. But figuring it out and working with the power of your higher intelligence allows us to have direct access to where specifically are the unresolved issues and how do we correct them. And oftentimes, just working at that level will allow a tremendous difference in each of our perceptions of who we are and how we feel in the context of the relationship. We can often feel a tremendous amount, lifetimes worth of karma, just releasing and resolving all this hidden stuff below the surface, getting resolved. And if the people involved in the relationship are open to being conscious, to being kind, to being available to love, to being aware of how they're treating each person in the relationship can experience a tremendous amount of healing. Now, it's somewhat rare where I get people where both people are really open to clearing work of that kind. So what can we do if perhaps your significant other or another person in your life, maybe it's a boss, maybe it's a coworker, maybe it's a parent, maybe it's another person in your life where you just don't feel like it would be possible to consciously speak to them that you want to do this kind of subconscious clearing work with them. It is possible for us to do it without them consciously being aware of it. As a matter of fact, this happens all the time in my work. Maybe we have a relationship with a child, with a parent, with someone who has crossed over. They're no longer physically even here. We couldn't ask them physically. Maybe it's someone that just simply would not be physically open to the work at all, and yet we really feel strongly that there's just something strong here that needs to be resolved below the surface. It is possible, without violating the person's privacy, without forcing them to do the work, it is possible for us to go within, working with your higher intelligence, their higher intelligence, and facilitating clearing work without the person being consciously aware. Now, that work, depending on their openness and willingness to the process, that work may be highly effective, it may be somewhat effective, or it may not be entirely effective for the other person at all. However, remember, we're coming back to this original idea that even when we're in relationship with someone else, if our consciousness changes, you're the one watching this video right now, if your consciousness begins to change, you will begin to have a different awareness in the relationship. Perhaps you will feel more inner resourcefulness as you approach this other person in your life. Perhaps you will feel guided to certain changes, shifts, certain kinds of conversations you are feeling more empowered to be able to have with them. And perhaps you will feel more empowered, depending on the relationship, to be able to move the relationship in a different direction, including leaving the relationship. We often, may or may not be able to really fix a relationship in the human sense. Fixing and healing the relationship may be resolving it within ourselves to the extent to which we're able to, and leaving that situation and moving on to something else. So remember, this clearing work does not happen in spite of us. It doesn't happen to us. I'm not some miracle worker who's going to somehow fix your significant other or fix you in any way. This is all about surrendering, releasing, and letting go of what we've been holding on to, the accumulated energy in the subconscious, which may be from hundreds of past lifetimes we've had with this individual. As that stuff gets released, oftentimes new opportunities, new freedom, new joy, new health, new vitality in the relationship, especially when both people are really open to it, often happens. Now, if the other person is not open to it, say it's a parent, say it's a child, say it's a coworker, I have still seen very significant shifts take place there even as well, because a person may be subconsciously completely open to the work anyway. And when we go in a session context to do clearing, you and the other person may both sense tremendous shifts. Now, another context that comes up in relationship clearing a lot is I want to attract a romantic partner, a soulmate, whatever name you might have for that, and I can't seem to be able to do that, or I'm attracting the same type of really dysfunctional relationship over and over again over the course of time. So what do I do? So a few things I want to say about that. One is that I have tended to shy away more from using the word soulmate, twin flame, these types of labels to relationships. I've shied away from that more and more over time. The reason for that is because I feel like it can become disempowering in some contexts. In a larger spiritual sense, I believe that everyone that we're in contact with is our soulmate at some level and for some reason. The person who has really hurt you in the past, that's your soulmate. They're teaching you something. The person that you're absolutely in love with, or that you may become in love with in the future and spend the rest of your life with, that person's also your soulmate. The soulmate is really about, we're here to grow, we're here to learn, we're here to evolve, we're here to experience love. And at some level, if we take a broad enough picture, everyone on the planet, especially people that we are involved with at some more direct level, everyone on the planet is here to help us to do that. From the highest level of spiritual perspective, we are really already one with all beings, right? So at that level, there may not be someone who is supposed to be more of a soulmate than someone else to us. It's worth contemplating that idea. Secondly, telling someone, well, this person over here is your soulmate, may be disempowering to you to be able to choose, because sometimes, as I've mentioned before in this video, sometimes the people that we have the most lifetimes with may in fact be a very close member of, you might say, our soul family. This doesn't necessarily mean that it will bode well for us to be in conscious relationship with them in this lifetime. It may be so fraught with challenges and difficulties. It may be abusive. Some soulmate, quote-unquote, relationships or twin flame relationships or other types of relationships that could be labeled that way are often incredibly difficult. They can become abusive on many different levels. The reason for that is because these types of relationships you have had hundreds, if not thousands, of past lifetimes with. And remember, the purpose of incarnations and lifetimes and relationships is learning, growth, and connecting into love. And our way to get there, oftentimes, is fraught with past life trauma, oftentimes. So if that energy has not yet been resolved, that energy will be carried forward into this lifetime, and you may begin to experience that all over again. This is, again, part of the huge benefit to doing relationship clearing work. The fact is that even if we're married to someone right now, we may have had many, many lifetimes in which we have killed that person. That person has killed us. That person has been our father or mother or our child. We've had all sorts of often very traumatic lifetimes with individuals that are very close to us at a soul level now. Remember that we have these experiences that we have, and the experiences about growth and learning, and they're often extreme. We see people in the world now who are having these types of extreme relationships, highly abusive relationships, real difficult times. And remember, from the level of spirit, there is no judgment about that whatsoever. These relationships are here in order to help people to grow and to evolve, and sometimes it does not end up being the way that we think from our human perspective a relationship should be. This is the reason why, even more so, clearing work is so important. All of this traumatic memory, even dying at the hands of our beloved, for instance, in a previous lifetime, this is still all encoded within our subconscious now and can come out as argumentation, can come out as betrayal, can come out as all sorts of problems that we're having in relationship now, and problems with attracting relationships in our present or in our future. If we have had many, many traumatic relationships in past lives or earlier in this lifetime, again, all of that energy can be encoded still in the subconscious until it gets resolved, until it gets released, until we can come into that vibration of forgiveness in that relationship context. We will not see that positive, loving, nourishing relationship come into our lives. So I want to just say, again, sort of a summation point about what I'm saying here, that we really have to do our own inner work. Working with the power of higher consciousness to be able to look at our subconscious mind, look at our past life history, look at our Akashic records, and help us to identify and resolve everything that is blocking us from being able to experience and know ourselves as unconditional love, being able to know and experience others in a state of forgiveness and unconditional love. All of this work is essential for us being able to attract soulmate relationships, soulmate partners, beings that we really truly want to be with, that are nourishing to us, that are going to help us on our spiritual path. We're going to help them. We're going to be able to experience this presence of unconditional love. We have to do our own inner work. These beings are not simply going to show up. They are going to, we're always attracting soulmates. As I mentioned a moment ago, every being is really a soulmate at some level of our being, because every being on the planet is here to help us to grow and evolve. The question is, where are we at in our growth and evolution process now if we have not resolved a tremendous amount of anger, trauma, betrayal, self-hatred, all of the low self-esteem energy in our own consciousness from our past lives in this lifetime? We are going to attract a soulmate who is going to bring out all of that energy for us, so that we are going to have to work through it in the context of the relationship. If we get on with doing our inner work more and more, resolving, clearing, forgiving, looking at all of our specific past relationship context, including and especially our family of origin, all of our exes, those in our current partner, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, if we look at all of these relationship contexts and do our inner work and release them and clear and bring the level of consciousness of the relationship to a higher place, we will begin to simply attract situations and people of all kinds in our lives now who are on that level of consciousness, that higher, more resolved level of consciousness. We're always attracting soulmates and partners based on what we are vibrating to, based on our level of forgiveness, based on our level of fear, based on our level of anger. We are always attracting mirrors. I am not the first one who has said that. And so what I want to leave you with in this recording is simply that the more inner work you can do, the more you can clear and resolve in your own consciousness, the higher the vibration of the potential partner you will attract, and the more fulfilling that relationship will feel to you. This is obvious, what I'm saying to you, and I'm sure it's something you already know. Now, how do you get to that point? Well, take a look at your present and past relationships and see, where do you still feel that sense of, I don't know if I can let go of that person. I don't know if I feel resolved in that context. I don't know if I can wish that person unconditional love and wellness from any person, for instance, from your birth till now. That is your laboratory of relationship. To be able to look at those relationships, clear the karmic patterns that are still present there, and as you free your own past relationship energy up, as you open your heart, as you do your conscious work of forgiveness, as well as your subconscious past life work of forgiveness, you will open yourself up in a way that will attract partners and soulmates of all kinds that will support and nourish your highest purpose. There's really no way around this. We can't simply give you a formula for, yes, attract the man or woman of your dreams right now without having to change anything about yourself. That's not the way spiritual healing or consciousness works. Remember, all relationships in your life are soulmate relationships. They're here to bring you to a higher level of consciousness. Asking yourself right now, even the people who are in your life right now, what is this person here to teach me? What am I learning? What did I sign up for from this relationship to learn and to get? And the quicker you get those lessons, the more you can evolve the relationship to a higher place, or the more you may need to or want to move on from the relationship so that you can begin to attract higher and higher level soulmate partners. And again, your purpose in life is not just to resolve and clear and forgive the past, but your purpose ultimately, through your process of spiritual evolution, healing, growth, learning, your process is to experience yourself as the unconditional love that you are. Your purpose is to experience the divine love that you were created in, and your purpose is to radiate and reflect that love out so that we can really bring everyone on this planet and beyond to a place of healing, a place of remembrance of their wholeness, a place where we come back together as the soulmate family that we are as human beings, where there is no longer that energy of anger, hatred, war, despair, hurt for each other. We understand the deeper spirituality, the deeper love that we all are, and we continue to affirm and resonate with and connect in through that place more and more. That's the part of the evolution that we're all on. So as you focus on relationship clearing, past and present, as you open yourself more to releasing, to resolving, to forgiving, this subconscious work can super help you to do that. You are participating in the collective evolution of humanity. You're opening yourself up to a higher consciousness. You're making yourself more available for good. And by the way, as you focus in relationship clearing work, all areas of your life begin to work better. Your money situation, your career situation, your health situation, every area where you feel some stagnation, some lack or limitation, those areas begin to work better as well, because there is no separation between your relationship karma versus your money karma versus your health karma. It's all the same. So use this laboratory of your human incarnation here to get moving, to get going, to get forgiving, releasing, resolving all of the subconscious programming that's limiting you in relationship. Use that as your motivating factor. If you're wanting to attract a soulmate partner, if you feel like you're having trouble letting go of someone from the past, use that as your context. Use that as your laboratory for your spiritual evolution work right now. And you'll begin to find not only does that area get resolved for you, but you'll begin to find that all of the areas of your life begin to work better as well. So I've talked a lot during the course of this video. I just wanted to give you an overall beginning context to what do relationships mean, how do they help us in our soul's evolution, what does a soulmate mean, how do we continue to create and recreate the relationships that we already have context for in our consciousness from the past or from this lifetime? How do we free ourselves from the cycles of karmic relationship? The answers are basically simple. Now, using methods, as I've mentioned here, that I facilitate of working with your higher intelligence to go deeply into your past lives, go into your subconscious, look at what is coming up to be resolved in the context of your relationships, or that is limiting somehow your ability to attract divine partners into your life now, helping to release that. This is a palpable piece of work and healing for you. As we release, you'll begin to feel the open-heartedness, feel the release, feel the freedom within your own being. And you'll begin to know that you are the channel through which all good needs to come into your life. It cannot come to you from an outside source. It has to come through you. So the more you release, the more you let go, the more you forgive, the more you resolve, the freer you become, the more your life begins to reflect your true divine heritage. So friends, I encourage you to click below this video, be in contact with me about relationship clearing, or to inquire further into how this work can benefit you. Until next time, friends, wishing you all the best. Peace and blessings. Bye-bye.